What's up, everybody? Welcome to Mystick's MMOs. I'm your host, Mystic Raven. Alright, so I have a new build I'm going to upload, and this is for Magicka Warden. And this setup actually surprised me a little bit more than even I anticipated. So if you're a Warden fan, you're really going to like this. Let's go ahead and get into it, shall we? Alright, so our max Magicka is at 32,000, almost 33. Our max health is at close to the 20, 19.9. Spell damage currently is 4,295. Currently, we have spell crit at 41%. Now, you are going to be dependent on pots for your prophecy, your major prophecy. So I do recommend getting pots for this build. Our penetration on this bar is 5,009. We've allocated all of our points into max Magicka. We are using ghastly eyeballs, and we're of course going to be using the thief Mundus. Now on the back bar, you're going to notice that our crit is going to take a hit, and our max Magicka is slightly down. But overall, yeah, looks good. So with that said, let's get into the sets. So you're going to want Tiscavans. Okay, you're going to want an Inferno Staff, glyph with frost damage, precise. Now, Tiscavans, you get in the DLC dungeon, but it's very important that you still, with this build, get the Flame Staff. Why? Because when you go down and you go under Destruction Staff and you go under Ancient Knowledge, increasing your damage done with single target abilities is increased by 10%. Okay, very important. Very, very, very important. Okay. Of course, we're going to want the Maelstrom Perfected Ice Staff. This is important with this build. It's insanely important. You want the Frost Staff. It's still going to give us the increase our light and heavy attacks, but you want it charged. Now, you still want the weapon damage enchantment. Now, typically, healers and tanks will apply a status, the chill and brittle status effect, but you don't want to risk that with this build, and I'll explain. So you definitely want the charged. Okay, we're going to use 3 pieces, count them, 3 pieces of medium. One being the head of Damahas infused max health. That gives us up to our 20k, close to our 20k marker. So once again, once this procs, we're going to get that nice 300 weapon and spell damage. The primary static set, so Tiscavans is our proc or a carry set. Our static set is going to be Robe of Frostbite. Now, this is Divine Max Magicka. Why? Well, it gives us spell crit, it gives us spell damage, crit, more spell damage, increase your damage done with frost abilities by 8%. Increase your damage done against chilled enemies by 4. So your frost damage gets 8% on top of the Warden's passive right here, Piercing Cold, which gives you 10%. So magic and frost damage is going to be increased by 10%, so we're getting an additional 8 from the set. But what's even better about this set, once the status effect is applied, all of your damage is increased by 4%. And if they get a minor brittle status effect, it goes up by additional 2, making all of your effects, even non-frost, by 6%. Whoa. Now this is an overland set, easy to get, and you want it if you're going to play Magicka Warden. Trust me. Don't use Boss A's either. People will be like, use Boss A's. Boss A's ain't got shit on this for the Warden. It doesn't. Sorry, that's the truth. For the Warden, this is like key. This is a key set. It's delicious. Okay, Damahas, that's our second medium Divine Max Magicka. You're gonna want a Tuscavin's Belt, Glyph at Max Magicka Divine. So that gives us our 3. Now keep in mind, under the medium armor passives, we're gonna get what? An additional 6% towards our spell damage, and we're gonna get an additional 6% towards our critical damage output. All right, very important. Frostbite Gloves, Divine. Frostbite Breeches, Divine. Frostbite Shoes, Divine. You're going to use 2 Tuscavins infused spell damage and 1 Ring of Frostbite infused. That should be Bloodthirsty. So, my bad. Let's take care of that. So, that needs to be Bloodthirsty. Sorry. So, 2 infused, 1 Bloodthirsty. Okay. Now, with all of that said, let's go ahead and get into the skills. Primary bar. We're going to use Degeneration, right? It's going to be our dot, and it's also going to be our form of major sorcery. Now, you can get that from pots as well, even if you get major prophecy pots. But I do recommend using Degen, just a really strong dot at a low cost. Plus, it helps you with recovery. Okay. And I do have 2 Mage's Guild abilities slotted, so that'll help towards recovery on the primary bar. We are using a flame staff, so keep in mind all of our single targets are on this bar. Crushing Shock. Now notice the frost damage proc. It's a lot more. It's like when you put this on a Sork, you notice the the shock damage up. Well, the frost damage is up on this one. Lightweight Beast Trap. Okay. Fetcher Infection. Now keep in mind, in the Animal Companions, we're going to get an additional 2% for having that slotted. And of course, we got 2% on the back bar for our shocks. Okay. And then of course, we're going to have Camouflage Hunter. And you want Icy Comet. This hits the hardest. Yeah, it's 200 ultimate, but it hits the hardest due to the frost bonuses that you're going to get. So you want this ulti. Now, under Fighters Guild, we're going to go ahead and see that passive, that we're also going to get another 6%. So we're getting 12% overall into our spell damage. Okay. So, yeah. So, between the medium armor and that passive. And then an extra 2 for this. So it's really good. Okay, back bar, Frost Staff. You want Winter's Revenge all day, every day. Look at this, 2,443. Even if I put a Lightning Staff on this, these AoEs pale in comparison with the set and the proc. It's one of the best dots you're going to have for this configuration, so you want it. Deep Fissure. You're going to want Unstable Wall of Frost for the Maelstrom Staff. Keep in mind that you're getting that frost bonus, so you're going to deal a lot more damage with these 2 abilities. Of course, Mystical Orbs, Camouflage Hunter, and Flawless Dawnbreaker, once again, for the 6%. Okay? Looks good, right? Well, let's see how the stats work. Okay? Now, as you guys can see, I was kind of testing it. Now we'll build up. And once we glow, we're at 67% crit with 63 on spell damage. But look at that. Now we're at 68. It hits so nice. $74,000 meteor. Oh, it's cold. It's cold. It's so cold. It's so cold in here. All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoy it. I know I did. Once again, as always, I'm Mistick Raven. This is Mistick's MMOs. Have a good one.